Dave. Oh my God.
Ruth, Ruth, is that you?
Yes, it's me. I cannot believe I have the same age as you, and I think I went the same experience like you. No, just kidding. But it sounds a lot like you. You know, I wish somebody, some Dave or BRENDON would be in my life. I wish it could have been years ago. But, you know, never late to learn. I'm learning a lot. Thank you for all the good information. And a lot of them I'm learning also. But one of the things that I am still working on that, or a lot of things, but, you know, it's kind of working now for me. I have pretty good focus and a lot of things. But emotional, I want to ask you, since you already mentioned about the Untethered Soul, some books that you are working on, that I already had on mine, but maybe you can give me one specific that I can take a look instead of going and searching. But my question is, I am pretty good like focusing during the day. Like today I can be sitting here or reading, whatever I'm doing, I'm working. But at night, my brain start working like, you know, I go to sleep pretty good, but if I wake up in the middle, it comes all the ideas like the monkey jumping to everywhere. So how can I do? I'm pretty good during the day. You know, I can go and focus my mind on some specific things and those things, but at night, I try a lot of things. That's what I say. If you suggest me a book and you give me your advice, that would be awesome.
Well, I'm not going to suggest a book because I have myself come through a window of waking up at night thinking about a lot of things. And the thing that most fundamentally changed the way I was able to sleep through the night was, and it somewhat comes out of the ideas of Untethered Soul, somewhat out of some therapy I'm doing, out of like trying to really get in touch with myself and separate the parts that exist in my being from myself as the observer of those parts. I made a relationship with anxiety. And to me, when we're up and the mind is just spinning, a lot of times, I don't want to put this on you, but a lot of times we find ourselves, I think, contemplating the possible outcomes of things that have not yet happened. And I would spin. I would get overwhelmed in all of the variables that could and probably would never, but could happen. I made a relationship with my anxiety. I went so far as to name it. My anxiety's name is Clark. Don't ask me why. And I now, when I start to feel anxious, will actually sit and in silence out back and invite Clark to a table in my mind to ask anxiety, hey, Clark, what is on your mind? Why are you here, right? Because anxiety inside of us is playing a role that it believes to be there to help us. It's not there to make us feel uncomfortable. It's not there, but it's there playing a role that it believes serves us best. So now as I'm in this conversation with my guy, Clark, he's able to represent to me what role he believes himself to be playing. And what I've found for myself is 9 times out of 10, Clark is trying to draw my attention to an area of my life where there is still just enough ambiguity because of the absence of a plan, that if I were to direct my focus and spend a little time understanding that ambiguity, that I might be able to develop a little bit of a plan, create a little bit of structure, involve some outside resources, ask a mentor, spend time in community or conversation that would alleviate a little bit of the feeling that I have that allows all of these possible scenarios that are likely to never happen but still exist to now go away. Because as I honor Clark, as I honor my anxiety being there, it allows me to not demonize the fact that I have anxiety. It also allows me to disassociate from being anxious. I am not anxious. I am the observer of Clark, a part inside of me who believes himself to be playing a role that is meant to serve me. And as I am able to now be in a conversation with him, and if someone here is like, this sounds crazy. Trust me, I thought it was crazy when it was introduced to me too. And then I started making this relationship in a way that fundamentally changed the exchange of what role that anxiety believed itself to be playing. And now I can tend to the ambiguity that has not yet been afforded a plan with just a little bit of planning during the day, not at night, the nighttime stuff just isn't availing itself. So part of why I have this this commitment to peace on my back patio is that I like to sit and listen for where there are emotions that are sitting, stirring, to ask them what role they believe themselves to be playing. I do it in the morning so that throughout the day, if I have a conversation with any of those feelings or even just aware of them existing, I might tend to them before I get to bed. I also have a practice, no social media, no devices for the hour leading into going to sleep. I tend to read just a little bit, but I sit on the back patio and enjoy peace as a disciplined intention for 30 minutes prior to going to bed, just about every single night. I tend to play some worship music, have a conversation with God, gets me back to neutral, gives me some perspective, and I'm able to fall asleep way easier than I could before. I hope that helps.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you.
You're welcome, Ruth. Wendy.
Hi.
Wendy PG.
You know, I think it's funny because I'm wearing a dream is a wish your heart makes. And I said at the beginning of this year when I joined GrowthDay that I'm going to talk to you and we're going to become friends. So
we're best friends now, Wendy. Come on, we're best friends.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to just say, when you said, you know, you want us to see ourselves in your story, have an empathy bridge, I feel like I really relate to that. I've gone through a lot in my life that kind of relates to what you've been through. And I remember sitting many, many times on my back patio and just staring off into the sky. I'm a connoisseur of the sky because that's where I feel like there's so much greater than me that I don't have answers to, and that gives me comfort in the chaos. You know, I had a grandmother that was murdered. My dad died in a horrific motorcycle accident. My stepmom survived. I lost 3 babies. I almost lost my life. I went through a bad divorce. I've been through infidelity, all this stuff. And I met my husband. We have our 2 amazing rainbow babies. And I feel like my stepdad's going through terminal colon cancer right now. And I feel like life keeps presenting lessons over and over again until you're ready for them. And I don't think it was until Brendan introduced GrowthDay and I really looked at myself and reading your last book and taking your challenge that, man, this life isn't about anyone else. This is what Wendy's life, Wendy's journey, Wendy's lane. What is it that I'm trying to learn from it? And I really feel like I have lived in the bitterness. I've lived in the chaos. I've lived in that struggle of just wearing my awfulness as a garb of comfort and security. And you were actually one of the proponents of why I just turned 40 and I went to Hawaii and I got this anchor, because I know I'm made for so much more than staying in my safe harbor. Like 40, a lot of people say, oh, I'm settling in my life, but no, this is the beginning of my life. My children are going to be 3 and 5. I have so much more that I want to show them. And I have learned through your teaching, Brendan's teaching, like it's the simple reframe is the reframe that I need to hold on to, knowing that now, even though I'm going through hell right now, I've been able to look back and see, you know what, Wendy, you have found the light at the end of the tunnel from those situations. As much as it sucked to go through that, and as much as I wish I had the loves back in my life, like I've never learned more resilience than I have through the family that I have, through the people that I've lost. I've never had a better understanding of who I am because you guys have helped teach me that. One of the questions I struggle with and I have for you is the faith. Like me and God have always had a struggle, and I've a lot of times felt like I've been picked on in my life. And like, why would you allow this? Why would you allow this? But I've had to reframe and say, life happens, and what is the good I'm going to do with it? My question for you is, you reframe so much, but has there ever been a point when you were just so angry with God and you're just like, why are you bullying me? Like, I thought you loved me. Because a lot of people, I think, get stuck in the pain and they wonder, if you're a God of love, why, when you don't feel like you get answers, you feel like everywhere you turn there's a wall, or you feel abandoned and you just don't have those answers, when you can look at other people and they get it. So I don't know if my aha moment just hasn't come yet or what, but that is a serious question I have for you. Like, how can you help people to reconcile that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, why do bad things happen to good people is like the
paradox inside of faith that no one can answer. I mean, trust me, I have thrown my fists in the air and been very, very upset. God's big enough to handle our upset. Number one, like I can get super, super angry and he's still good. Like it's okay. The only thing I can say for me, at least in this last season, there's the verse, I think it's James 4:8, draw near to God and he'll draw near to you. And so I found in the midst of my hardest things, going against my instinct of pushing away and being angry and just like sitting out back on a patio of peace in a conversation that was like, man, I got to humble myself here and come a little closer. Let's see if there's anything that you might afford me in proximity. And it's happened, you know? So, but I don't know, you know, everyone's journey of faith is just a little bit different. What I can tell you for sure is the power of your willingness to take the perspective that you uniquely have in having been through everything that you have and bringing the light that can still exist, even though you could otherwise be angry and bitter and whatever else, because God knows you deserve to be whatever you want. The kind of hope that you might afford someone who's going through something that isn't necessarily even as bad as something that you've gone through could be the difference in someone still being alive, could be the difference in the way that they think about their ability to get through it as well. So in a wild way, I think God's going to use you to just be a profound light on anyone who's going through anything. And if you believe that, trust, like the intention of your creator may in fact be that after having been brought through every single thing that no one should ever have to experience, you could be someone that can say, and yet I still have hope. And yet I'm going to show up for my life as a thing that maybe affords them permission to do the same.
That was the other thing I was going to say. I feel like God made me for bigger things. I don't know what that looks like yet. I've been a writer for over a dozen years, but I didn't get my tattoo till I was 38. But the first part is it's my journey through words. That's my tagline as a writer. And that's how I express myself. And it's on my left hand because that's what I write with. I put it on my left forearm because the vein that goes from your ring finger goes to your heart. And so the things that are most important to me, you know, my faith, my marriage, my kids, yellow butterflies remind me of my babies. There's a butterfly on my M and wings in the shape of an R for my dad, Rick, and for Ricky, River, and Rain, my babies in heaven. And I will not waste a moment anymore in bitterness. And instead, I will make them proud. And so my hope is to encourage whatever catalyst that might look like for those who are hurting to say, yes, that mattered. It might not look like it to somebody else, but to that one person, that's my hope. And so I just thank you and Brendan so much for just the simple words of reframing, for reverence for life, and for just being resilient in the fact that growth and sorrow and joy can live simultaneously, because it has been life-changing for me. So thank you.
So real. Good for you. I'm proud of you, Wendy. Honestly, you're going to honor the legacy of your humans, all of them, with every good thing you do for the rest of your life. I'm proud of you.
Hi there.
Bless you, bless you, bless you. I feel privileged to speak with you.
I feel privileged to speak with you, Phyllis.
Thank you. I'm thinking about the 85%, 10%, 5% group. The 10% group is my struggle. I'm sure that's familiar. I dearly love some of those people. And I find myself struggling with how to let go with care and not have that be just a simple brush aside of someone else's feelings who has been involved long-term in my life and my personal struggle. So I'm trying to get some advice from you on how to make that transition away from that tie that seems as though I'm caring about that person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, number one, that 10% bucket is the hardest for every single one of us, because that misalignment in values, or them speaking through the lens of their fear wrapped in love, man, that's the hardest. So you are super normal in that feeling the way that it does. The biggest headline is, this is not an invitation to push these people away from us or not have them as a part of our life. They are staying a part of our life. We love and crave love from them. We will always most likely love and crave love from them. The question that I think we have to answer is, are we comfortable making them uncomfortable so that we can live in truth? Or are we willing to maintain their comfort at the expense of our truth, or at the expense of our comfort, right? And this isn't even so much about, being comfortable necessarily as it is, I come back to, and the way that it makes it a little bit easier for me. When I'm trying to answer this question every day, I was created for a purpose. I believe you were created, Phyllis, for a purpose. There is this now set of things that you would need to do to honor the intention, that deliberate design that you were very specifically put on this planet for. And deciding to keep other people in that 10% bucket happy at the expense of honoring the deliberate design of your creator is something that, like, when you put those kind of stakes around it, okay, I'm going to be okay making my mother, who I love, uncomfortable with my decision to honor what I believe I'm on this planet for, if she feels uncomfortable in me taking a step in that direction. What it requires is actually spending time explaining why you're making a decision that may in fact make them uncomfortable in a way that has them still feeling heard and respected, even though you're deviating. And a decision in some respects to have them just agree to disagree, just not necessarily understand. Because if you wait until you get to a place of consensus with the people in that 10% bucket, you'll never take action. You'll never, ever fully get to complete consensus. So you're going to have to decide, is living in my truth and honoring this intention of why I'm on this planet more important than maintaining the comfort of every single person inside of my life that I crave love from? The answer, of course, is yes. Doesn't make it easy, but it's yes. So, and I can see someone just wrote down, like, having a little bit of like time inside of a conversation around people pleasing, reading anything inside of codependency. I am someone who has been a long time working on my own codependent stuff. Keeping other people happy was one of these things. I went to a Tony Robbins thing when I was very beginning of my personal development journey, answer that question that I'm sure many have been asked if you've ever been to a UPW event. From whom did you crave love from most? Who did you have to be to get that love between your mom and dad, right? I wanted the love of my mother. Who did I have to be? I had to achieve, right? So keeping my mother happy through achievement is a thing that now transcends into the way that I have tried to maintain relationships, sometimes in healthy ways, often in unhealthy ways, to get the kind of love that I was hoping for as a child. I would do the same kind of work. What are the kind of things that you needed as a child from one of your parents, and who did you have to be to get that? Is there any of that that's manifesting in the way that you're trying to, in a way that can be codependent, keep them pleased at the expense of who you'd hope to actually be, when you can live in integrity with your truth, even as it comes at the expense of what you previously may have had to do to get that love? You are going to feel different about yourself in a way that their love could never have filled, period.
I think I'm most concerned about what I think of as physical harm. And I'm talking about employees. We are in the process of shutting down our business, and we are trying to sell it, but it appears that that's not going to happen. And I have employees who are going to take this emotionally and physically hard. So I'm trying to reconcile that relationship. It doesn't quite fall into the 10%, and it doesn't quite fall into any of them, or a little bit of all of them. So
as a person who has had, unfortunately, I mean, number one, I hate that you are in that situation. I've also been through many restructurings, and unfortunately I've had to let a lot of people go. I've never let someone go without having someone from security sitting outside of my office. So
understand.
Make sure that you are safe. Like, take precautions if you even sense that there's the possibility of somebody using physical force. Like, be safe, and find a way to connect with them in as humane and decent a way, of course you would, but be safe first, for sure.
Sure. Well, thank you, Dave. I really
Good luck, Phyllis. Cheering for you.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.